Hi, we are going to look at why you are far more than your sun sign. And this is ZervoudakisFounder, and we are going to look at what's the difference between reading your monthly forecast or what does it mean to be a Gemini sun, or even your big three. What are you missing here? You're actually missing tons. So let's take a look at what's going on. So let's say you know your sun sign is Gemini. Right here, the sun is in 15 degrees Gemini. So this person is a Gemini for sure. Okay. So that's one part. This represents a sun sign in Gemini. But what about all this other stuff? So you're far more than a Gemini sun, right? And this is what a natal chart looks like. And I will go one by one what you will find out about yourself. So the sun tells you where you shine, what the focus of this life is, what you want to do for the rest of your life. Let's start with Mercury. Mercury is at 0 degrees Gemini. So the placement is 0 Gemini. That tells, and it's retrograde. So that tells the astrologer where the exact position is, this planet, where that position is. Now, why do we have to be exact? Because when we see how these planets speak to one another, are they exactly opposite one another? Are they exactly in the same house, in the same room, or are they on the same street? How close are they? And is there friction with a square? Is there conflict with a square? Is there a need to balance with an opposition? So these words that I'm throwing out there, a square, conjunction, opposition, they are astrological terms that describe the relationships between the planets. But let's back up some more. What do the planets represent? We know the sun is where you shine and what you want, your desires. It's extroverted energy. Okay. So this particular person is going to exude and express communication. All right. And all the features and characteristics of Gemini. So think of all the planets and positions here, the abstract points, as action figures, like they do something. Okay. So Mercury is at 0 degrees Gemini, which is the very beginning of the sign. Because when we count in astrology, we count 0 to 30 or 29 degrees and 59 minutes. And then the next number will be 0 degrees, 0 minutes in the next sign. So this, whenever you have a 0 in astrology, it means that there's enthusiasm, very motivated, but very enthusiastic about collecting data. Could be an overthinker, very sharp thinker, because Gemini is ruled by Mercury, and Mercury is the messenger god, always into information. Got it? So now that's double strength, Gemini, this particular person. But there's also the South Node, which represents where the person's been, like a past life type information, what they're familiar with. They're familiar with Gemini, all the Gemini traits. And there are books and books and books about Gemini. All right. But they came from what's familiar Gemini to the higher level of Gemini, which is Sagittarius, opposite of this area here. And that means that this particular person is striving to work to not just the information that comes natural to this person, but what are they doing with this information? What is their truth? What is their philosophy? That's what the North Node is about. Okay. You see, it's complicated. That's why it takes an hour and a half minimum to go through your natal chart, because we have to go through every single action figure and see. So Gemini is expressing the how this person learns, how this person gets data very quickly. So this person would be great with computers and social media because they want to learn it all. It's a zero. It's a beginning. For example, how do you feel if we have, let's say, a brand new pair of shoes, or a brand new girlfriend, or a brand new home, or brand new furniture, right? You're excited about it. Well, that's what zero means in astrology. And we'll get to the 29 degrees, but as we move along, the number placements are very important because they give you the exact position. And that's why you need to know it. If you're a do-it-yourself astrologer, just remember, pick one thing at a time. But you have to understand that there's a whole chart. But if one day you want to master the sun sign, then you would look at the sun sign, where it is. It's in the middle of the sign of Gemini. And then all these little red, green, dotted and solid lines represent aspects. And that's how they're communicating with other action figures in the chart. So that could take you days and days and days and weeks, maybe months, to analyze all this. But this is what you're born with. So this is all what you're going to learn when you get your natal chart done. So this is how you think and how you process very quickly. If it was in Taurus, let's say the moon, we'll go to the moon. The moon is in Taurus, and that means that they are very comfortable with where they're at, especially their possessions and money, and don't change anything. What motivates these people? This person may be money and comfort. I want to be comfortable. I want to be secure. And Taurus is a earth sign, which makes it slower. It's heavy to move, and they don't want to change because it's a fixed sign. Okay. Now you should be getting the message. And this is your emotions and your feelings, and it's introverted. Okay. So then we're doing the personal planets. The next personal planet is Venus. Venus is in 8 degrees Cancer. This is what you are attracted to and what people find attracting to you. Maybe because it's in Cancer, it's a water sign and it's a cardinal sign. They like to take care of the home and the family. All right. And they love to cook and clean. It's a water sign. They like to protect and nurture the family. Okay. So it's a cardinal sign. So they're action people. The next personal planet would be Mars. And Mars is the action person, the warrior, the advocate. I am going to protect this person. I'm going to take action. So it's not cerebral. I'll think about it. I'm going to do something about it. And it's at 1 degree, which is, we could say, a beginning point. So there is enthusiasm to do Piscean activities, which is metaphysics, which is the invisible world, which is godly, which is anything microscopic because you can't see it, or spiritual, you can't see it, mediumship, hypnosis, anything like that. also music, dance, because it helps you escape. It also could be drugs and alcohol. Now, do I suggest, oh, are you a druggie? No. We let the client tell us all the negative points. We just are very objective as astrologers to show you what the strengths are. And as you know, each action figure, could be a negative or a positive. You could use all these planets in a negative or a positive way. So these were just the personal planets. They're personal because they're very unique to the individual. They move very quickly. So it's not generational or social. As the planets go outward and away from the sun, the less personal they become and the slower that they move through the zodiac. So we have the social planets, which is Jupiter and Saturn. Those are the social planets. So that not only tells me about how what this person's truth is, and you would look at the sign that it's in and the house that it's in. That's what would make it personal for this particular person, and all the aspects that go along with the social planet of Jupiter, alongside with Saturn, which is in the first house and which is in the sign of Scorpio, which would make it very intense. So you take, for example, Saturn has to do with realism, being serious and hardworking in Scorpio, very hardworking, very psychologically deep in the responsibility factor, the serious factor, and it's also it regulates the bones and anything of structure and boundaries. It also represents time, and all these other aspects will tell a story about Saturn and how Saturn works in this particular person's chart. And don't forget, we have these little RXs, which means retrograde, and a planet is different when it's retrograde. Now you get to see this information. I'm only talking 15 minutes. And just to give you an idea of what you're going to get when we look at your natal chart. Okay. And you are welcome to say, yeah, I'm that type of a thinker, but I am an overthinker, let's say. And what can I do so I'm not so much of an overthinker? Because I need to balance this overthinking with, the drudgeries of life. And, it's blocking me from moving forward. It makes me stuck, you see? So it's negative in that respect. That's an example. That's what we do. And then we have the outermost planets that are in the news today a lot, and that is the Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. So everything in astrology has a sequence. Everything in astrology has order. We go from closest to the sun and furthest away from the sun, and they all have their own speed that they go in, these planets and points, and they tell quite a story. So, and that's just your natal chart. So why do you want to know your natal chart in such depth? Well, we'll cover that in the next video. When you click on forecast, you will see that we will compare your natal chart to other charts. And also, when you click on solar return or your birth chart, you will see another way that you could see what's going on for the next year. Please post any questions and comments on the bottom in the comment section, because I read them all, because I'm here to help you understand what astrology is and what it isn't. And if there's anything else that I could do for you, please let me know. So we have Uranus is 29 degrees Cancer in this particular chart. 29 degrees is at the end of a sign, which means there's an urgency. Oh my goodness, I got to hurry up. Oh, we're moving. We got to get out. We have a deadline. We got to, move the stuff. Oh, there's a baby coming. We're going to give birth. Anything. Uranus has to do with rule breaking. It has to do with the higher aspects of Mercury. So it's your mind, but it's also sudden and shocking information. And it's electrical. These are, you could be channeling these insights, and it's a vision, getting a vision. Okay. So that's number one. Number two would be Neptune, which has to do with the invisible world, with music, dance, escapism, drugs, and spiritual, metaphysical things, also viruses and things like that. Anything that's invisible. And they're very slow moving. And remember, if it's a retrograde, that means something a little different. And Pluto is the smallest but the mightiest. It's about the size of the moon. However, it's the furthest away from the sun, and it's the most impactful. Okay. And we have Pluto in 26 degrees Leo. So it's also together with Jupiter. So this whole generation of people were born with Pluto, Jupiter together. So that is how this energy back in the 50s panned out for this generation. All right. But what makes it personal is the house that it's in and all the aspects that it makes to the other planets, especially the personal planets, the moon, the Mercury, Sun, Venus, and Mars, and the nodes. Very personal are the nodes. I work with Chiron, the part of fortune over here, and Black Moon Lilith. Those are very important points. Chiron is a slower moving asteroid. It has to do with trauma and healing. And that is very significant in this person's chart because it is next to a bold line. And that means that it's important. So this childhood family trauma this person endured, it could have been a form of neglect, maybe, or whatever. But remember, the natal chart was created by yours truly, yourself. You created this chart with the creator, with God, because you wanted to come here and learn your lesson. Forgiveness, get letting go, anything like that. Okay. So that's the nuts and bolts of the astrological chart. By the way, the part of fortune is an abstract point, and this shows you where your greatest joy, success, and prosperity. This person would love to organize for communities and all the little details and make it perfect. Okay, they're going to make it perfect. And Black Moon Lilith has to do with the raw, instinctual feminine side of the person. It's in the third house. So they could be an advocate and explain to people the things to be careful for or it also could be abuse, a form of abuse. Maybe they endured verbal abuse, okay? Or they were abusive. And then you would look and see, and it's not quite opposite. It's called a quintachilli, where they would get sudden and unexpected type of uh, abuse or trauma or anything like that. Okay. It's all very individual. You have to listen to the client if you're doing astrology readings for other people to see what they are comfortable in sharing. If they're not comfortable in sharing, then you have to respect them. So, this is just a little glimpse, but this is my style of doing a natal chart reading. I look forward to hearing from you, and just hop on to the hyperlink in the description below, and that will take you right to my scheduling calendar. I look forward to seeing you. All my love. Bye bye.